How's it going, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome to the Mixed Metalhead. Today, we're going to be talking about some metal. All right, so I'm trying to do some updating to my channel. I changed the name, and I want to kind of change the videos I'm putting out. A lot of them are old videos of when I was younger, just playing guitar. And so I thought, why don't I start talking about the music that I love, which is metal, of course, and all music in general. I still want to do guitar videos, so there'll always be that. But today, we're going to be talking about metal. How I got into it, why I love it, kind of my journey and my story. And what I'd like is for you guys to comment, tell me your, first instance with metal, how you got into the music, or even if you don't listen to metal music, your opinions about it. Like I said, I'm going to try to do more videos about just metal music in general. So let's get started. So how about we start with me telling you a little bit about myself. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, small town, kind of dangerous, I guess. People that know about it, they just kind of know about it.
Youngstown. I'm from
A little bit of a rough city to grow up in. Very integral to me getting into metal and music, as you'll see later on in the video. So I grew up in a mixed household. My father was white and my mother was black. I kind of want to preface this with saying race does not matter at all. It really does not. We should celebrate our cultures, but at the end of the day, we all are the same. But in this instance of me talking about my childhood, it plays a factor. And I think race does play a factor, and of course a lot of things throughout life. But at the end of the day, it really does not matter. So growing up in a mixed household, with my father being white, my mom being black, my mother was into jazz and R&B. And my father, on the other hand, was into metal, rock and roll, punk, stuff like that. And when I was younger, I never really liked jazz. I never really liked R&B. I liked some hip hop, just because of that was, kind of what was popular at the time. But I hated fucking R&B and jazz. I just did not like it. And as I've gotten older, I appreciate it. I can listen to it a lot more, especially the musicianship. But when I was younger, I kind of gravitated more towards my dad's type of music. Obviously. But, my first kind of introductions to metal was more so the imagery than even really hearing it. I remember you'd always have the Metallica shirts, Motorhead, the iconic Motorhead logo. And, he would play stuff around the house. He'd be doing yard work or, whatever. And I just knew it was different sounding. I was too young to really get into it on my own. But I was always exposed to, this type of music. So I guess that's where I first kind of noticed it. Now, as I started getting older, I would kind of go through my dad's tapes. I almost said CDs, but he had a bunch of tapes. This was kind of before CDs were really, popular. But, some of the first bands I remember him listening to were Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, stuff like that. And, he listened to, the Beatles, all the classic rock stuff, all the way up into, stuff that was a little bit heavier, a little bit later on down the line. And so, me just being around this, I had this like attraction towards it because it was dark. It was like, all these album covers that are just like, just have a lot going on with them. Very masculine in a sense. So of course I kind of was more gravitated towards that. So I started to kind of get into bands on my own. Of course, picking from the bands I already knew my dad was listening to. I remember hearing Metallica on the radio. So they definitely were a huge influence at a young age. So the bands that I really got into on my own were, of course, Metallica, Megadeth,
You put a price on peace.
System of a Down,
Wake up!
and Pantera.
Are you talking to me?
What drove me to get into these bands was guitar, essentially. My dad had an old acoustic laying around, and he would show me some chords here and there, Smoke on the Water, just some basic riffs. And, I wanted to play songs from that. I kind of figured out some stuff, he'd teach me. But, as I'm listening to these bands, I'm like, I want to play that stuff, And so that kind of got me even more into the music. And so with those bands, it was just the floodgates had opened. So I want to talk about something that played a very big role into pushing me even more towards metal and guitar and music in general. And that was being a Jehovah's Witness.
What's up?
Good morning. Are you prepared for Jehovah's return? Because if you're not, I have a pamphlet here that... Well, fuck you.
If you don't know anything about the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're kind of weird, okay? They're really weird in a sense. And, there's a lot of good in it. I was taught a lot of biblical knowledge, how to speak, there's good in all religions in a sense, organized religion, I should say. But then there's a lot of negative things, very controlling. Weren't allowed to listen to metal, no rap music, and they kind of wanted you to be like a robot. Everyone was congregated together. You're all supposed to be on the same page. And so, I had this dilemma, I should say, where on one hand, I want to be a Jehovah's Witness. I was very into it. I was probably like 7 years old when we first started going. Kind of got swept up into it. A lot of my peers, young people that I was around at the time were all into it. So I wanted to be the good guy, let's go and knock on people's doors and all that stuff. On the other hand, I'm getting into metal music, which is kind of a contradiction. It's more rebellious. It's about being on your own, and being a witness is congregating together, just the group effort of, what you believe in. And so as I was getting older and getting more into this music, I had to try to find bands that weren't anti-Christian, weren't satanic. The obvious ones I stayed away from was like Cannibal Corpse and Slayer, pentagrams and all that crazy shit. So it was kind of hard for me to find bands that just weren't nasty, if you will. But I did find a lot of good music, and I stayed with it. Being into this music presented another challenge. So I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm fair-skinned, and I go to predominantly black schools. And I listen to metal, so that's just targets on my back. So I got fucked with a lot.
Watch it, Dale!
Especially for listening to metal music. I was the white boy, so to speak, and people be like, oh, you gonna shoot up the school, man, you crazy, listen to that killer shit. And, I got a lot of shit for listening to this type of music, which again, pushed me more into getting into it because I had my own identity. Everyone's listening to Lil Wayne and whatever's popular at that time. And I did up until a point, I was into rap, not even into it. I just listened to whatever was on the radio. I think a lot of kids are like that, where you want to be accepted, you want to belong, so you kind of just go with the flow. And but like I said, once I got older, this is like middle school, getting into high school, I had metal, and that was my thing. That was my music. No one else really listened to it, so I grabbed onto it, and here we are today. But going to those schools, being a Jehovah's Witness, it was very conflicting. They both, people at the school thought I was weird and all this shit, and so the Jehovah's Witnesses. So definitely pushed me to even get more into these bands. So inevitably, through my metal journey, started getting into heavier bands. My dad would get these magazines, like Metal Hammer, or I can't even remember a lot of the names of them, but a bunch of samplers from like Nuclear Blast and Century Media. And some of the bands that just like blew me away on these samplers was Children of Bodom, Nevermore, God Forbid, a lot of the early metalcore stuff, Trivium, Unearth. from going from Metallica to that was a big difference, especially with like Nevermore. The guitar playing was, was even faster, and Jeff Loomis is a fucking beast. And that dude, and that music definitely was just pulling me in, man. Like I said, with the magazines, and I read Guitar World all the time. Really just dove into metal as a culture. And so, as I go through high school, I'm listening to this music, starting to play more guitar. After I got out of high school, I was excommunicated by the Jehovah's Witnesses for certain reasons. And, I haven't gone back since, obviously, but this kind of opened the floodgates, so to speak, because I wasn't restricted by the religion, telling me what I could do and what I couldn't do, what I could listen to. So I just kind of got into all music. I wanted to listen to Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel, the stuff that I knew was evil in a sense. And so I got really into death metal, black metal, all the heavier stuff. A band like Nile, of course, is one of my biggest influences. I said Meshuggah, Behemoth, the big, satanic band, so to speak, which is kind of goofy because, it's almost tongue in cheek how it is. These guys ain't going out murdering people. Some of them, I guess, are, but honestly, the more I just wanted to find the heaviest, the fastest, which doesn't always mean that a band is good, just as fast as you can play, as heavy as you are. But the musicianship was what kind of drew me even more towards that, the heavier stuff. And so, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at. So that's kind of how, I got to where I'm at today. I kept playing the guitar, making these YouTube videos. You can watch, the old ones. But, that's pretty much my metal journey. And like I said, I want you guys to comment, what was your first concert, or, just how you got into this type of music and what do you think about it in 2021. So that's my metal journey. And these are kind of the reasons why I'm into this music, as I mentioned. Definitely, stay tuned. I'm going to have some more content coming out. Like I said, I'm going to do some more guitar videos, of course. But I want to do more, videos where I'm just talking about metal. I want to get some other people in here, non-metalheads as well, to give, opinions. Seems to be the reaction videos are kind of a thing now, to different types of music. So, everything's open for me to create some content, man. And I really want to, get an audience. Like I said, comment down below, how you guys got into metal. You can even let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see me do in the future. So of course, man, just stay positive, keep it metal. I'll see you next time.